Good morning and welcome to the final day of the 2026 IPF World Open Powerlifting Championships here in Druskininkai, Lithuania. I am Emilia Potter, joined in the booth this morning by Joe Stanek. Joe, thank you so much for joining me. It has been quite the week of lifting. I know that you've had a lot of lifters this week. How have you found the championship so far?
Oh, first of all, thank you for having me, Amelia. It's great to be back in the booth. And yeah, this has been honestly my favorite championships that I've been to in the long years that I've been coming here. The lifting's just been fantastic. Every lifter has put on a show, and I only think that trend is going to continue in this session.
I absolutely agree. I mean, you can see here we have a C group split 5 and 5, the 120 plus and the 84 plus, followed by a group of 10 further 120 pluses. But even from the C group, like we had in the 69s last year with Chandler Babb, Ray Bowering is going to put up a huge total. So you keep your eye on him, because you can see with an opener of 380, he is bound to do something big today, as well as Modenas Mesa from Chile with an opener of 365. By no means this is a light flight of lifting.
Yeah, there's just an incredible amount of talent for a C group. There may be certain circumstances that put them in this group, so we'll see how they do.
And kicking us off, as I said, we'll be jumping from 84 plus to 120 plus in this flight. And first out, Marcela Elizabeth de la Barra Zelaya from Chile. 170 kilos on the bar.
She seems to prefer racks in, as many lifters do.
Yeah, especially in the slightly heavier weight classes. A couple of reasons that lifters opt for that, Joe. Could you talk us through why, perhaps?
Yeah, one of the main reasons is that it will put a little bit of bow in the bar before you actually unrack it, and that tends to make it a little bit easier when the weight gets heavier, although it seems like that may have actually been a mistake to have the racks in.
I'm sure we'll see it a lot during these flights.
Definitely. We'll talk about it then. Let's see how this opener moves. Solid looking opener.
Yeah, very comfortable weight for her. And 2 to 1, a good lift. Oh, sorry, 3 white lights, a good lift. Came up a little differently on our screen there.
A solid start for her.
No, it is 2 to 1. Yeah, it's 2 to 1, no, a good lift. Yeah, I definitely wouldn't want to go any higher than that. We see often in slightly heavier weight classes and battling with depth, just because, you know, a little bit extra body weight, it's a bit more muscle, you know, it's bound to be harder to
we tend to have a lot of fast squatting as well in these heavier weight classes, and you know, sometimes you just can't really make it convincing. That is part of the job of these lifters. Just get a little bit of adjustment on the rack heights here.
And Marta Malolo from Latvia, 177.5 kilos. 17.5 kilos below her best.
Interestingly, she boasts a 100% make rate on her squats across her career.
Well, let's hope the same goes today at the World Championships for her.
Three white lights.
Yeah, and you want to make sure your opening attempt is something comfortable that you can, pace yourself well to get to that third attempt, hit something, you know, get everything you can out of the lifter, but also if you need to retake it and adjust, that it's a comfortable enough weight to do so.
Yeah, one major mistake that most newer powerlifters tend to make is opening just a little bit heavy. I think when I first started, I was told if I woke you up in the middle of the night, you should be able to take your opener on about 10 minutes warm-up. Always good advice.
Hannah Sigurdsdottir from Iceland, 192.5 her opening attempt.
The Icelandic team has been represented very well so far at these championships. Many of the teammates in the crowd cheering for each other. It's one of the best parts about these championships, honestly, is seeing the different countries come out to cheer on their team.
Yeah, and the sport grown so much now that not so uncommon to see people fly out just to support. Nice deep opening attempt.
Yeah, really good. That's a perfect example of what an opener should look like.
Yeah, 3 white lights, a good lift. And as expected, we're seeing all the 84 plus openers prior to the 120 plus openers, which will jump up significantly in weight. Emi Komoto representing Japan, 195 kilos.
Speaking of teams cheering on their teammates, the Japanese in particular are always quite vocal. You can see them in the crowd waving their flag. Likely can hear them as well.
Yeah, they've been here for every session. They've had a lifter cheering them on. Every championships, you know, it's nice you see athletes switch t-shirts, switch singlets sometimes, but one t-shirt that's always so sought after is that Team Japan t-shirt.
I was just about to say that's probably one of my favorite things that I have in my own collection.
Rare item, and a lovely opening attempt from Komoto.
And she's quite excited with that one. I think it's so funny how you see such contrast between lifters across flights and across days. You get some people that are just here to handle business, and then you get the other side of the spectrum where they're just out of their mind excited for every attempt.
We have Thorbjorg Mathiasdottir. Of course, that was Komoto we saw in her photo. Here comes Mathiasdottir, 197.5. Iceland with a 1-2 hit in this 84 plus kilo B group.
Yeah, it looks like we last saw her on the platform for the European Open Championships. And 3 white lights.
And that gives all 5 84 plus ladies their opening attempt. The remainder of the openers will be for the 120 plus men. And kicking us off here with 270 kilos, Robert Raw from South Africa.
Easily my favorite lifter name so far.
Yeah.
Definitely meant to be a power lifter at these Open Classic Championships, sometimes called Raw Powerlifting.
Yeah, I do wonder if he dabbles in equipped at all.
Which would be the most ironic thing of all time.
Opening 20 kilos below his best here. Just a stone's throw away, really, in the 120 plus class. What do you make of that? It's a good lift, 3 white lights.
Perhaps a bit stickier than you want an opener, but honestly, these gentlemen are quite large and they're moving a lot of weight, so sometimes it can feel a little bit unstable when you get under the bar, but
yeah, and some countries take different approaches to, you know, they like to open a little bit heavier and push up slower. Some countries are very conservative, open those bigger jumps, and just like hitting that top end once, maybe 1.5, you know, with the second attempt. Ditsis Berzins from Latvia, 280. This is just 5 kilos off Berzin's personal best squat.
and honestly, you gotta admire the color coordination on this flight so far. They're really rocking it with the socks singlet t-shirt combo.
lovely deep opener there from Bersins.
Yeah, that's exactly what you want to see, especially if you're the coach standing there in the coach's box. You always have a little bit of a higher heart rate just waiting to see how their depth is on the platform, but nothing to worry about there.
Yeah, it gives no room for doubt whatsoever. Representing Team Japan, Masaya Inoue, 317.5.
I think he's just making sure that he can hit depth before he jumps onto the barbell.
Well, now we know he can. Let's see how he does now with some added extra weight.
Lovely opener. Lovely, lovely opener. And as expected, you can see a lot of these gentlemen taking quite large jumps.
Yeah.
Pretty common, especially amongst the heavyweight men.
And as the weight goes up, obviously that percentage goes down, and so the jumps would look usually even larger. Sergio Hernan Madones Mesa from Chile, opening at 365, just 10 kilos below his known best to us, but I've heard he's been hitting some pretty big numbers in training leading into this.
And the brief shot of his warm-ups that I saw were looking pretty strong. Let's see how this moves.
The weight is extremely comfortable on his back.
And a good lift there. Has a little bit of a higher bar position, which honestly I've seen a bit more commonly amongst some of the super heavyweight men. I think that may just be a way to solve the depth problem. That's usually something that may cause a bit of drama during these sessions. So honestly, props to him for coming up with that solution.
Yeah, you will see a lot of the heavier weight lifters with that high bar position, just a preferred position, I suppose, for a lot of those lifters, like you said, perhaps looking to help with that. Our heaviest opener now, and certainly a man that does not belong in the C group, Ray Bowering from Great Britain, 380 kilos, his personal best. Nominations got knocked down a little bit. He would have otherwise been in the A group.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, and when you make 380 and move like that, you're in for some trouble. 2-1, a good lift. We'll watch that again in the replay. Ray competes in and out of equipment, so raw or classic and equipped.
I believe this is his first Classic Championships, no? I want to say yes.
And everybody on the board with their opening attempt. As we move through to the second round, they can start to take those slightly larger jumps to add some kilos. De la Bala Zelaya from Chile, 10 kilo jump to 180.
And admittedly, in Ray's case, there may be some advantage in being in this group. He gets to be just slightly longer rest times, especially considering it is a combined flight. The extra time from stripping down the bar is going to make for an easier time for these heavier men and women.
And 3 white lights, a good lift.
Loaded.
190 kilos loaded on the bar for Marta Malaujo from Latvia.
Yeah, so we're seeing somewhere around 10 to 12 kilos in terms of jumps for most of these ladies. Very comfortable choices. In general, you're looking to usually make even jumps.
Shakes her head, but I mean, it still moves pretty well. Perhaps Not quite as well as she'd hoped.
Yeah, I think bar speed looked pretty good there. I'd certainly be comfortable with another similar jump based on that. Maybe she was just a little off balance and wasn't happy with how that felt.
Yeah, maybe that will make that third attempt choice slightly adjusted if she's not feeling 100% confident.
Yeah, usually you got to talk to the lifter at the end of the day. If they don't feel confident despite bar speed looking fast, you got to be smart.
205 kilos in the bar for Hannah Sigjónsdóttir from Iceland.
So 12.5 kilo jump, which again, based on her opener, I think should be quite comfortable.
Slowed down a little bit in the middle portion there, but a completely reasonable second attempt.
Yeah, I think something like another 5 to 7 would be pretty comfortable there. And if you could not tell by the cheers from the crowd, the Japanese lifter is taking the platform once again.
She is Emi Komoto from Japan, taking 205 and having a blast doing it. 10 kilo jump here. She was all smiles after her opening attempt. Let's see what a match personal best will look like.
Again, a little bit of a higher bar position there too. Wow, really sits it down there. And she is just all smiles coming off after that second attempt.
You love to see lifters coming out, doing well, and also enjoying themselves in the process.
That's what it's all about at the end of the day.
Þorbjörg Matthíasdóttir from Iceland, 207.5, a 10 kilo jump here.
She boasts a 93% make rate currently based on her history. Little stickier if I'm honest, but a good lift.
Yeah, 3 white lights, it is a good lift, and I would suspect a slightly smaller jump there for her third if they're being sensible.
Yeah, probably 5 if I was in the coach's chair in that particular case.
I guess we get a chance to test your attempt selection this flight, don't we?
Oh, don't put me on the spot, Amelia. Come on, it's been a long week.
Robert Raw from South Africa, 282.5, a 12.5 kilo jump, and we saw all 5 84 plus ladies make their second attempt.
Yeah, if I'm honest, I think this is probably quite sensible for him. His opener was a little bit stickier than you probably would have wanted. We'll see where he goes.
Not a million miles off his best squat of 290 either, so around his known top end. Slight sticking point there in the middle, but maintained a relatively good bar speed.
Yeah, unfortunately, that is going to be 3 reds for depth, though.
Yeah, I have to look at that in the replay. We're looking for the hip crease to go below the top of the knee joint, and perhaps he felt that opener was slow and just cut it a little bit out of nerves.
Yeah, honestly, one of the things that you see happen a lot with lifters when they miss depth, it's not even necessarily a lack of ability, it's just their management of their center of mass. They'll tend to get a little bit forward on the way down, and it just makes the hip crease look a little bit higher.
Yeah, and they give themselves the illusion that they've reached depth when they bow forward a little bit, you know, and their hips stay up. 20 kilo jump here for Ditsi Spurzins from Latvia to 300 kilos. the bar going again, which is incredibly impressive. Empties the tank. I think I saw it pause. I'm not sure. I saw a dip. And 2 to 1, a good lift.
I think that should be okay. The jury are discussing. Oh no, the jury has overruled that attempt for downward motion.
Yeah, I think just when it paused, let it dip a little bit, and that's tough because it really does seem like he emptied the tank there, and it might be tough to get that again on his third.
Yeah, I mean, I would expect him to retake that. I don't think there would be any sense in going up, and unfortunately, he may just be left with his opener. Hopefully he's able to come back and make an adjustment.
Masaya Inoue from Japan, 335 kilos for his second attempt.
And this would be a 17.5 kilo increase for him. You can see him really taking his time and making sure that he sets his back properly so he can unrack the bar strong. That's the key to a good lift. Quite a speedy attempt.
Yeah, but after a little bit of resistance, but definitely strong enough. And the lights say 2 to 1, a good lift. We see in the replay the side that he gets that depth from, so we'll be able to have a look at that from that angle a little ourselves. And yeah, it's definitely on the line.
Yeah, and again, you can kind of see him getting pitched forward there. Similar thing, I would say most of the time with heavier weight men in particular, that center of mass management tends to be the main issue just because of how much weight they're physically moving and how hard it is to keep it over the middle of your foot.
Ray Bowering taking a 20 kilo jump to 400 on his second attempt. This is on Open Powerlifting what we have down as his best squat.
And Ray absolutely roars, getting ready to hit this 400 kilogram squat.
Oh wow, would you look at that? And it moves extremely well. We wait for the lights, and same as his opener, 2 to 1, a good lift, just that right hip of his, the opposite side that we see on the replay, getting that depth call. But on that side where he gets the white, does look good.
Yeah, I actually thought that looked a little bit better than his opener, personally. Now we've got a 40 kilo jump. Oh,
I noticed that just as Ray came out for Sergio Hernan Madonna's Mesa from Chile, taking a 40 kilo jump from his first to second to hit 405 here. And we said he had some big hits in training. 40 kilos, even in the 120 plus category, is a pretty mammoth jump.
Yeah, that may be the largest jump that I've ever seen in these championships on a squat.
And it offers resistance, but he does stand it up. And it is a good lift, 3 white lights, and I've got to say, the jump made me more nervous than the weight on his back, but he handled it extremely well.
Yeah, you can see him maybe shaking a little bit on the way up, but very little resistance despite the fact that he's increased it by 40 kilos.
And it's an extremely efficient squat as well. You know, he wastes no energy in the way that he squats. And we head through to the third and final round for these 84 plus and 120 plus, ladies and gentlemen, before we head through to the second flight of 120 plus. 187.5 in the bar for Marcela Elizabeth de la Barra Zelaya from Chile.
7.5 kilo increase here. I think it's a sensible number based on how her second moved. Maybe a little hard, but should be good for it.
Very well picked final attempt, I think, there for Marcela.
And unfortunately, her streak of making all of her squat attempts in her meets is going to end with that. 3 reds, unfortunately.
Yeah, and I think it's just a stitch above parallel there, which is unfortunate. Can't be contested by the coach or the jury, but walks away still with the 180. Mata Maloido from Latvia, 200 kilos, big milestone to hit on the platform.
Yeah, I recall her shaking her head on her second, but clearly that didn't affect her confidence.
Yeah, it's a very strong walkout as well for Mata.
Wow.
Smiles this time round, but unfortunately 2-1, no live for depth, both side referees. So have a look at that, the replay. The coach goes to the jury. And actually, in the replay, that looks okay to me. I think just pretty quick in and out the hole, but looks like the jury say no dice, just a little too high for us.
Unfortunate.
Yeah, and for the jury to overrule it, it should be in either direction pretty egregious in terms of decision. Emi Komoto with, I think, my favorite free lift ritual there, 215 on the bar.
You know what? You're going to see that across many lifters. They have different ways that they like to approach the bar. Whatever gets you ready to get under that weight.
Should be a personal best for Komoto. Sticking point, but it's just a little too much on the day.
Oh, just slightly too much. Those are always the hardest attempts to watch as a coach because you're just like, 2.5 too much.
The bar is loaded. 4 attempts for change numbers.
215 kilos remains in the bar for Thorbjörg Mathiasdottir from Iceland. 7.5 kilo jump here for match personal best.
And again, as fun as it is to take a personal best on the platform, sometimes it's not the day for it, and it's better to just build up the total, which, to be honest, that is ultimately the personal best that matters the most.
And that was the perfect number on the day as well. Really well executed, and a good lift for Mathiasdottir.
And that is an exact example of high-level powerlifting. The best lifters just make attempts.
And the thing is, with the A groups this evening being flights of 8, there is definitely a chance of top 10 positioning, which are worth fighting for.
And she'll come out of the squats 3 for 3, whereas all of the other ladies have missed their thirds, so that gives her a better chance of placing a bit higher.
And the only other lady that can go 3 for 3 in this flight is her teammate Hannah Sigjónsdóttir, 220 kilos, and currently in prognosis leading the pack of the 84+ B group.
Yeah, you'll see here that she's got one of those racks in. We were talking about it a little bit earlier, so you might have one rack in just because you may clip the rack sometimes on the way out. Clearly that is not a problem for her because she's done that. Oh, just slightly too much again.
Yeah, it was a 15 kilo jump after a 12.5 kilo jump. So, you know, I see it a lot. Perhaps second moves really well. They get confident and make that slightly larger jump, but it still has that huge impact on the lifter, and it's never really a decision I'm too keen on.
Yeah, so again, it's just numbers, right? It's trying to get as close to 100% as possible without going over, and the closer you are to 100%, the larger the jump you make, the more of a chance you bump over that. So it's usually not a good idea to make uneven jumps. More from the second to the third than first to the second is usually a recipe to risk a lot.
Robert Raw looking to retake 282.5. Just cut out on depth on his second.
Yeah, his second was quite hard as well.
third looks good, and the depth looks much better.
Yeah, so again, perhaps on that second he just had a bit of a rough walkout and wasn't able to get as set as you normally would. He made that adjustment now that he's felt the weight and was able to do it relatively comfortably, I'd say.
The bar is loaded.
300 kilos for Didzis Bersins from Latvia. And his second was really pretty top end at 300. It got overruled by the jury to a no lift for downwards movement, and he really seemed to empty the tank there on his second. So we'll see if he can kick into an extra gear to hit it on his third, but it's a big ask.
Yeah, especially after making a 20 kilo jump and it being really hard, it's difficult to do.
Wow, looks like he can grind through again, and I think slightly quicker than his second as well.
Yeah, so something really interesting there, and I don't know if the coach told him to do this on purpose, but I know I'll cue this in some of my lifters. If you watch it back and compare it to his second, he's got his head a little bit more forward. In his second, he was looking a bit more at the ground, and
Yeah.
I think a lot of lifters, when they look too far down at the ground, tend to get forward. So when he made that adjustment, I think that helped his balance. Again, maybe it was subconscious, maybe there was some cueing done, but he did a great job at making the adjustments.
Masaya Inoue from Japan, 342.5, a 7.5 kilo jump.
And as seems to be common with many Japanese sportsmen and women, you can see him making a reference to anime there in his setup. It's from One Piece.
He's had a great squat session so far. This will be a personal best. Very well executed by Inoue.
An excellent attempt selection.
420 kilos to the bar for Ray, going for Great Britain, followed by Netherlands and the Eagle. No more changes with you, honors. No more changes.
All right, here we go.
Here we go indeed. The final two squats will both be 420 kilos. First to take 420, we have Ray Bowering from Great Britain.
And he is fired up and ready to go.
Hit 400 on a second, pacing with equal 20 kilo jumps here. A huge final attempt for the 24-year-old, fresh out of the juniors.
And a 20 kilo PB if successful. Let's go, Ray. Here, Team GB has joined us in the audience, cheering Ray on.
Great final squat from Bowering, and you look for the lights. 2-1, a good lift, same skeptical he's been getting, but it's passed thus far. We'll look at the replay, and great lifting from Team GB as we've had all week.
Oh, that looks great to me, honestly, but we do have the angle where I believe he got the white.
Fantastic final attempt, and we see 420 attempted again here by Sergio Hernan Madonez Mesa, who took a 40 kilo jump from first to second and 15 here from second to third. A very efficient squatter, and I imagine the style of that has a little less of a grind in it when it comes in.
Yeah, I think honestly this is a good selection by Chilean coaching staff. I don't know, there's just something about a very upright squatter that goes from 0 to 100 quickly.
Stands it up once again. We wait for the lights. Yeah, I was a little bit more worried about it this time, and we'll see on the replay the side that he gets the white from. Here live, we got the opposite angle where the red lights are from. And I think that time a little bit higher.
Yeah, unfortunately, I do think it's just a... Oh, wow. No. Jury disagrees and overrules that. Wow.
Well, there we go. And both could be contenders for squat medals later on today. Bowering lighter than Madonna's Mesa, we head immediately through now to the rest of the 120 plus B group. A group, of course, to compete later on today. And again, some pretty hefty openers here in the B group, setting the bar very, very high for the primetime group later today, 2 p.m. local time. Tadas Gekas from Lithuania, 257.5.
Very good looking opener there. And that's what you want it to look like, honestly. There's nothing, there's no glory to gain by opening too heavy. You just want something nice and easy that is always going to be able to be something that you can stand up with.
Absolutely, it's not where you start, where you finish. Marc Riudelbas Clemente from Spain, 285. $20 kilos below his best. Spain becoming a nation of squatters, and it seems like Gekas from Lithuania has X'd out his second and third attempts, so perhaps just dealing with a bit of an injury. And that is a great opening attempt. Jacek Usyk from Poland, 305 kilos for his opening attempt.
Gives the spotters the customary fist bumps, as you'll see a lot of lifters do. Seems to be sentiment that that's good luck. You'll see some different shoe choices from lifters. Seems to be lifting in heel elevated shoes. Definitely helps with that depth.
It's a good lift, 3 white lights. Yeah, normally we would see, as you said, people moving between flats and heels, and even in the flats there's some variation. You know, there are more barefoot shoes depending what the lifter's like.
Yeah, I think it's going to depend on your style, your mechanics. Usually, I think lifters that are a bit more advantaged in the squat, meaning they have longer torsos, shorter femurs, tend to do better with heeled shoes. I find if a lifter has quite a short torso, they'll tend to lean over more with heels. So again, like we were touching on earlier, you'll see that these racks are in for this lifter. Now, as is common with many heavyweight men, you'll tend to see some of the larger gentlemen need to grip a bit wider. Wouldn't be surprised. Yeah, there we go. So just a bit wider than what the racks normally accommodate for. So luckily our sponsors at Eleiko have engineered something pretty cool in the racks that you can quite easily bring them in so that the grip is possible.
Hendricks now for Belgium, 317.5.
Wearing the throwback SBD singlet as well.
Yeah, well, one of the OG summer collections there. Martin Simonsen representing Denmark, 335 kilos.
Again, you can really see him packing his upper back there so that he can have a strong unrack. If the unrack is hard, usually the squat is going to be hard.
Very slow, controlled descent there for Simonsen.
Yeah, some lifters will choose to sort of tempo their squats a little bit more so that they can keep the bar over their center of mass as they squat. There are plenty of lifters that typically will lift that way, and then there are others that again are just super fast.
Representing France, we have Alexis Suarez, 340 kilos.
No, I don't know about you, Amelia, but I personally love the France kit. Out of all of the SBD ones, probably my favorite.
There are some really nice singlets going around, the different country singlets. Very smooth opening attempt for Suarez and a good lift.
And you know what? The saying is, you look good, you lift good.
The bar is loaded.
He Wang, Chinese Taipei, 360 kilos for his opening attempt. Personal best of 390.
Yeah, so that might seem like quite a light opener based on his personal best, but honestly, I would not be surprised if we see another huge jump up close to that as long as this goes well.
Chinese Taipei usually with pretty conservative openers. And that was pretty smooth.
Yeah, quite good.
Let's get a depth call from the right side referee, and we'll be able to see in the replay that angle. Let's have a look at that depth. And I would say it's on the line. You know, it's the jury would normally go in the favor of the lifter unless it's egregious, like we aforementioned. Yin Chu Wu from Chinese Taipei, 360 kilos. This would be 10 kilos above his recorded best.
And you know, sometimes you just make a lot of progress in training. And I would think it's fair to say he has made quite a lot of progress in training.
And is a good lift. 3 white lights. And again, another lifter celebrating from the get-go, which you love to see. You know, it is worth celebrating getting every lift. You're adding that much more to your total, and especially with your openers, you're on the board.
Yeah, I mean, just being here alone is always amazing, but to go out onto the largest stage in powerlifting and execute to the highest level, that's really a great example of what it's like to be at a championships.
Torben Voigt from Germany, 370 kilos for his opening attempt, 8 below his recorded best.
Maybe a touch harder than what you might want an opener to look like, but still good. Yeah, so again, you can kind of see him getting a little pitched forward there. So again, if I'm in the coaching box and I see that happening, obviously have a conversation with the lifter, but if that is happening, I'm usually going to say plan B on the day.
And our final opening attempt in the B group, Abdeslam Lekau from Algeria, 400 kilos, 20 kilos above his recorded best, and Algeria coming in heavy with some big squatters as championships.
He's got to be careful there. I believe you're not supposed to adjust your wrist straps as you go out to the platform.
No, the only piece of equipment you're allowed to adjust past the technical officer is your belt. Seems to be okay. Some final words of encouragement to himself here before he takes 400 kilos for a spin.
Actually quite a smooth opener despite the shakes. Honestly, sometimes you'll get lifters that they just get under the bar and begin the earthquake shakes. doesn't necessarily mean that it's going to be a hard lift. It just might be the way that they are. Taylor Atwood comes to mind. He always used to shake a ton.
Yeah, Reagan Stikaka is also similar. And I imagine most people with 400 kilos in their back, a similar story.
The bar is loaded.
You would know, right, Amelia?
Yeah.
You've definitely put 400 kilos on your back more than anyone in this room.
Once or twice a block,
Oh,
for
at
me,
least,
yeah.
at least.
And we head through to the second round of squats here. All 9 lifters getting their opening attempt in. Gakis deciding to X out his second and third attempt. 297.5 for Mark Rijubas Clemente. Just 7.5 kilos off his best here. To 1, a good lift, just a depth pull from that right side referee, which we'll get to see here in the replay. And I think he should be okay with that. Sometimes the foot position of the lifter as well changes where the referees are going to see that hip crease as well, and some positions are just slightly harder.
Yeah, you sometimes have to be strategic with it, and that's something that, at least as a coach, I always consider in training. Depending on their foot position, I, may have them just try to be a bit more convincing in training, so that we don't have to worry on meet day.
Jacek Juszczyk, representing Poland, 325 on the bar.
Wow, absolutely buries that.
Yeah, no doubt in question. 3 white lights.
Honestly, it looks a little bit more like what I might see a weightlifter do, but you know what? It's effective.
Yeah, there was absolutely no breakdown in this form on the way up either. Gio Hendricks, representing Belgium, 342.5. 25 kilo jump here.
And again, based on his opener, this is, I think, a completely reasonable jump. I don't know if you feel this way, Amelia, but I've noticed a trend lately where it seems like more and more lifters seem to be taking something more like a last warm-up type opener rather than just a typical last warm-up in the warm-up room, easy-ish opener.
For these heavier weight lifters who are putting this amount of weight on their back, they're not going to want to hit that top end more than once. So if they can avoid it, they're likely to do so. And that's why we'll see a lot of second attempts move pretty quickly, so they can pace themselves well enough that they can get the most out of their squats, but only really hit that top end ideally once because of how much weight it is.
Yeah, the way I like to think about a second attempt is it should probably be the lightest weight that you can take that will tell you where your top end is. So you don't want it to be too light, but you also don't want it to be so heavy that it really taxes you. And again, that's arguably, as a coach, the most important job you have is picking a good second attempt, because that really is what lets you accurately choose a third without taxing the lifter too much.
Martin Simonsen from Denmark, 355, a 20 kilo jump from his opener.
The 2-to-1 call seemed like it should be good, but let's check out the replay here. Just a bit on the line, honestly.
Yeah, jury seemed happy enough with it. Alexis Suarez, representing France, 357.5, a 17.5 kilo jump.
That's just 7.5 below his personal best.
Opener was extremely comfortable, Suarez.
Really sits that one in. Just a little off compared to his opener, but still a good lift. Yeah, I think in that case, you're usually going to want to take the more conservative attempt. We'll see what the France team puts in, but I don't know. There's something I don't love about that, especially that little stick point transitioning out of the hole. I don't know. I wouldn't feel comfortable with as big of a jump, that's for sure.
Pei Yu Wang representing Chinese Taipei. 20-kilo jump here to 380 on his second attempt. Got a depth call on his opening attempt. But stayed as a good lift.
Very nice. Swank's 10th meet. Gets a 2-to-1 call there.
Yeah, same side. He got the depth call on his opening attempt, and
Yeah, he's only got a 58% make rate on squats, which is kind of surprising because he's doing really well so far today.
his teammate taking a 25-kilo jump here, Chinese Taipei, Yi Chi Wu.
So again, 10th meet here for Wu. 67% make rate for him. Hopefully we can improve that today.
Strong looking second for Wu.
Yeah, a little bit more struggle, but 3 white lights. Oh, and he's fired up about that one.
Yeah, and you know, as expected to see the second a little tougher. I imagine a much smaller jump there to third to secure those extra kilos.
Yeah, I honestly would not take much more than 10, which it looks like that's what they'd probably go based on attempt selection thus far. Maybe even less, if I'm honest.
387.5 for Torben Voigt. A 17.5-kilo jump for the German lifter. This would be a 9.5-kilo personal best. I imagine looking to take home a German squat record.
He's still kind of fighting that bar forward a little bit, but handles it just fine. And again, when you're a taller lifter, that's another big challenge with these squats. Just you have a long way down to go, and it can be a lot more difficult to be able to stay in position. But powerlifting is a sport for many body types, sizes, strengths.
Abduslam Lekau from Algeria, 420 kilos for his second attempt. And just for context, this is where the two strongest lifters in the C group ended up, Ray Bowring and Sergio Hernan Madonna's Meza. But he's taking it for his second attempt. Opened with 400.
And I will say, the Algerian team, they always seem to send strong squatters. I don't know what it is, but the squat really seems to be their thing. Whoa, what a shake.
Yeah, and I do remember this from him squatting before. He's pretty shaky, and with that much weight in your back, you expect it. But now, rushed to unrack 420 kilos. Not really the position you'd want to be in to get that squat command, and he's going to have to settle quickly. No, unfortunately, just not enough time, so he's going to have to try that on his third. And I imagine he wanted to push more than 420, but you need to be able to be steady to get that start command.
Yeah, you have exactly 1 minute to get the start command. You have to be fully stable after unracking the weight under your own power. And just unfortunately, we're not going to be able to see that 420 in this round. Hopefully, next round he can make some kind of adjustment and be able to stabilize that bar And again, that's one of the big challenges with these huge lifts is it's sometimes just difficult to unrack the weight itself.
Yeah, and he's lighter than Bowering and Madonna's Meza, so if he does get that 420, he'll hit above then in rankings for squat. Marc Riodabas Clemente for Spain, 307.5 kilos.
And I think a pretty reasonable selection for Clemente based on his second. Great stuff. Team Spain always brings excellent attempt selection to these championships. And speaking of a long way down, he's quite a tall one.
Yeah, absolutely. And we can see as we head through to the remainders of the B group here, where we currently stand. Bowering leading the pack with 420 ahead of Madonna's Meza, and Lekau with his opening attempt of 400. Sat in bronze, subject to change as we have the third attempts here of the B group and all of the remainder of the A group later on today. Jacek Juszczyk from Poland, 332.5 kilos. He's been a very tidy squatter so far.
Slows down a bit, but honestly, I think that looks undeniable.
Yeah, and you'd expect a third to slow down ever so slightly, if not a lot in a lot of people's cases. So does a really good job of collecting those kilos and not emptying the tank.
Oh yeah, strength purists there are gonna love that squat. That is a classic Olympic style high bar.
The bar is loaded.
Hendricks coming up for 352.5 kilos, a 10 kilo jump for a 5 kilo personal best.
This should be pretty reasonable based on his second. I believe I said 10 would be what he would take, and the Belgium coaching staff are making me feel like I'm doing my job correctly.
Yeah, and that was definitely the right number to call.
Ooh, but just slightly high, unfortunately.
Yeah, let's have a look at that again in the replay. The coach goes to the jury to contest it. Yeah, I just missed that there, but the jury, hopefully with the correct replay. But no, still a no lift for the Belgian lifter there.
Yeah, unfortunate. I think maybe he just got a little pitch forward there, folded a bit more, and again, it just is going to make the hip crease look a little bit higher.
Denmark's Martin Simonsen taking a 15 kilo jump here to 370 for his final attempt.
So relatively even jumps for him. 20, then 15. Pretty classic attempt selection there. Again, you'll see a slightly smaller jump, which, again, we don't want to go over that 100% if we can help it. Tempo squat, no problem.
3 white lights, a good lift. Yeah, very well executed final attempt. We see a lot of lifters dive into the hole very quick and use that momentum. Simonsen instead holds on to that control of the bar. 370 kilos remains now on the bar for Alexis Suarez of France. 12.5 kilo jump.
Again, just slightly smaller of a jump compared to his jump from first to second. See, he's more of a flat shoot squatter. Oh, and a perfect call by the French coaching staff. 3 white lights. Taps his coach up. I will say that's the most gratifying feeling is when you get the number exactly right. Best part of being a coach.
Pei Yu Wang, representing Chinese Taipei, taking a 10-kilo jump here and has got 2-1 with the same depth call for his first and his second. Clock is timing down now. Wondering if we're going to see him come out or if he's just giving a little bit of extra time for his teammate, which I think may be the case here, Joe.
Yeah, I mean, sometimes if you feel like you've emptied the tank, it's usually best to just save the energy, especially with these bigger fellas. This is a quick meet. Despite it being a longer flight, it's still fast, and, you know, sometimes it's best to save your energy for bench and deadlift.
Yeah, and where it was a 10-man flight before with the Lithuanian lifter Xing out his second, third attempt, it just took that extra minute away, which is being given back from Wang to Wu now.
Yeah, and of course it's usually courteous to just put in attempts. Unfortunately, not every country knows that, but
It's also
okay.
it's also depending on the weight class and the size of the flight, because actually in the opposite direction it can actually be courteous to X out the attempts.
That is true.
So in a full flight of 47s perhaps, you know, you might want to X out those attempts if you're looking to be sportsmanlike, compared to a flight of 8 120 pluses. You'd want to keep the extra minute in perhaps if you're looking to be helpful, which in a competition sometimes they're not.
That is true. We did X out our bench attempts during 74s.
Torben Voigt for Germany, 400 kilos.
Stands up with it. 3 white lights. And he'll be quite happy with that one.
Yeah, well, we're looking for, in the B and C group, 5 lifters to end up 400 kilos and above, which is quite the feat. Looking to join that group, Yi Chu Wu from Chinese Taipei, 400 kilos in the bar, 15-kilo jump. And Joe, you were expecting a slightly smaller jump here.
Yeah, I'm going to be honest. I'm not really sure based on the second if this is the right call, but again, sometimes you can just make the adjustments and go there. You know, you might have a conversation with your coach as you're about to put in an attempt and say, hey, that might not have been exactly what you wanted, but I can make the adjustment if you just give it to me. And, you know, if a coach trusts their athlete, why not?
And it seems like actually the perfect number in terms of strength. And it's 3 white lights, a good lift.
There we
The
go.
ball is correct.
Improving his...
Oh no, unfortunately, it's not. Just changed there to 2, I think a technical error. 2-1, a no lift for depth.
Yeah, and unfortunately, I'm guessing that his 67% squat make rate comes from depth calls.
Yeah, and unfortunately, jury send away the coach and doesn't walk away with that 400 kilos.
It's unfortunate.
Now, Abdulzam Lekau from Algeria timed out in his second attempt, just couldn't get stability with the 420, and if he doesn't get this, still walks away with a 400 kilo squat, but I'm sure looking for much more today, and if he can just get that squat command in a much better position, but that's a big ask. He was pretty shaky on that second.
Yeah, the best thing you can do in these situations is just get out there early and just take your time. He manages to get the squat command.
Yeah, found stability much quicker. And that is a huge fight. And he does manage to get it up, but I would be so surprised to see that successful.
Oh, yeah, no, unfortunately. Just a bit too shaky. Oh,
Yeah, managed to get the stability very, very quickly that time, but we can see how shaky that was on the way up and on the way down, and just no dice this time round. Still also weigh with 400 kilos and currently in the bronze medal position for Scott behind Modenas, Mesa and Bowering with 420. Subject to change later today as we have the A group. We're going to head into a 10-minute break now before bench press. We'll catch you then. And welcome back to the 2026 IPF World Championships on the very last day here in Druskininkai, Lithuania. We have the 120 plus and 84 plus C and B groups here, and in the squat, huge squats from Bowering, Madonna's Mesa and Lekau. Bowering and Madonna's Mesa from the C group, both hitting 420 kilos. Lekau and Voigt from the B group with 400. Already huge numbers being on board today, and you see a huge range of opening attempts of bench press here in the 120 plus and 84 plus. In the first group, 5 84 plus, 5 120 plus, and kicking us off, Marta Melodo from Latvia, 77.5 kilos.
Yeah, so just like in the squat, we want these opening attempts to fly for everybody. Obviously, over the last couple of years, there's been a few changes to the rules. Speaking of flying,
Very comfortable opening attempt there, and it's a good lift. And no sort of technical infractions there, which is a great place to be after your opening attempt. You know, you don't really need to change anything technically, just focus on the strength. Hanna Sigurjónsdóttir, Iceland, 90 kilos.
starting off about 12 and a half under her personal best. Usually a good place to start for any opener.
Yeah, that looks very comfortable. 3 white lights, a good lift.
The bar is loaded.
Emi Komoto from Japan, I think one of my favorite lifters to watch so far this morning, opening here, 95 kilos. Ah, there she goes. So much passion and enthusiasm. Pretty long press command there for Komoto.
Not really sure what for. Usually you're supposed to be given the command when the bar is stable. It seemed quite stable to me.
Let's have a look at the replay.
The bar is loaded.
And maybe just a bit of the side-to-side rocking then.
Yeah, I don't think it was completely unfair of a call. Maybe pretty strict, but
No, but definitely in accordance with the rules. And admittedly, we don't have the same view that the head judge does, so.
for Björk Matthijsdóttir from Iceland, 97.5 kilos.
Okay, so you'll see these lifters all getting a handoff from the center spotter. Sometimes you'll see lifters that choose to unrack the weight on their own. There's advantages and disadvantages to both. I, for one, am a self-unrack kind of person. Sure, it may expend a little bit of energy, but at least I know it's always going to be consistent every time.
Yeah, and that's certainly the trade-off you have with and without a handoff. Marcela Elizabeth de la Barra Zelaya from Chile, 97.5 kilos. Won a good lift with a yellow from the side referee. If we have a look at that on the replay, perhaps from that side angle. And I'm wondering if it's the heel on her left foot being slightly up there.
It might be. Yeah.
Bar is loaded.
But
Sometimes you'll see even just the shape of a shoe can give the illusion of it, even if it does feel down.
Masaya Inoue representing Japan, 170 kilos.
Our first gentleman out here for the 120 pluses. Japan with a long history of loving the bench press. Got to experience that firsthand myself this past year. It is true, they do love to bench.
And often very proficient at it. The Japanese lifters and the Scandinavian lifters are often the case. It's a very tidy looking bench.
Quite fast. See, that's what you want an opener to look like.
The bar is loaded.
You'll also see a variety of shoes in the bench press as well. Most of the time, I think you'll see people using flats, especially on the lighter weight classes, but as things get heavier, I do see heels start to get involved. And that, I think, just has to do with the distance of their legs to the ground. Sometimes it's a bit uncomfortable.
Robert Raw for South Africa, 175 for his opening attempt, and a very tempo style on the way down, but quicker on the way up.
Honestly, that looks a little bit more like an equipped bench would. Quite a low touch. Perhaps he does both classic and equipped.
Yeah, absolutely possible. Maybe as well has been dealing with an injury that affects that lower portion of the bench and trying to be a little safe. I think a lot of scenarios that could be the reason. Maybe just his style of benching.
Did run into him in the back during the break and gave him a compliment on those socks. He said, that's what I wanted. I want to win best socks.
He's doing a great job of it so far. 185 for Ditsis Bezins for Latvia, opening on his match best.
We'll see here, he's 43 years of age, a Master 1 in the Opens. Good start for him, nice solid bench. No drama so far, luckily.
The bar is loaded.
Sergio Hernan Madonna's Mesa, 185 kilos, walked away with the equally heaviest squat in both the B and the C group, from the C group with 420, opening here with 185. Pretty conservative. We've seen him hit 225 before.
Yeah, so he may be dealing with an injury, or maybe just like squat, he's going to take a pretty massive jump. Oh yeah, I expected.
And not a bad decision to open conservatively and make bigger jumps if you're used to the jumps and you just want to get that lift on the board.
Yeah, or you know, he may be getting used to the rule changes.
Yeah.
The way in which sinking in the bench press has been interpreted has changed, and he just wants to be sure it's something that he can do quite easily.
I've got to say he had a lovely soft touch on his bench. And speaking of people who has a lovely soft touch on their bench, Ray Bowering, 227.5, and very used to seeing the bigger weight classes sink, so to see a lot of these soft touches is excellent and interesting.
Yeah, again, maybe their style has changed, but in Ray's case, he's opening what, 25 above his best here? Yeah. Oh wow.
Yeah, lovely 227.5 there for Ray, and the heaviest opener of that C group, and plenty left in the tank. And actually looking ahead at the openers of the B group, the second largest opener of both the B and the C's. So we know he's a certain contender for the overall podium potentially tonight as well.
Yeah, as we talked about earlier, he probably should have been in the A group, but circumstances put him in this one, and he's making the most of it.
Doesn't have the advantage of seeing what the rest of the A group will do, but the slight advantage he has is no pressure from a head-to-head fight in the moment.
Yeah, and also because he's in a flight with these 84 plus ladies, there's going to be more time between attempts just because of the changes in weight being so drastic.
That was Melodo for Latvia, a good lift with 85 kilos.
The bar is loaded.
And another thing you'll notice that's quite different from lifter to lifter is where they actually place their feet on the bench. You'll see anywhere from way out in front of them all the way to quite tucked back. It's advantages to both. Usually the more tucked you are, the more of an arch you can get, whereas the further in front of you, the greater your leg drive can be.
Hannah Sigjónsdóttir from Iceland, 95 kilos, a 5 kilo jump. And we've seen no infraction issues really on that first round of bench press.
Thankfully. One of the tough parts about the technical rules, you just always got to be picture perfect, and something that I say to Austin Perkins often when we're talking about attempts is one red light could very well be 3, so got to go out there and execute to a high standard.
And so far so good in this flight of 10. Emi Komoto for Japan, 100 kilos in the bar. Good job of sinking without initiating that body thrust afterwards.
Yeah, I think that's a perfect example. If anyone out there is looking for clarification on this rule, it's a great example of how to execute it properly. Yeah, pretty comfortable for her. I would expect maybe another 2.5 to 5.
Marcela Elizabeth de la Barra Zelaya for Chile, taking a 5 kilo jump to 102.5. Got called from the left side referee for the yellow, and we thought it might be for the heel of her shoe. Jury left it alone, but I think it was really the only infraction we saw that whole first flight.
And you can see the side referee is definitely paying quite a bit of attention to her now, but no issue that go around.
Yeah, and as she came off her opening attempt, the referee did tell her what the infraction was for, so she had a chance to fix it up slightly.
Yeah,
and the heel looks better.
Yeah, from that angle it does look like she's fine, so shouldn't be any drama from here.
Thorbjorg Mathiasdottir taking a 7.5 kilo jump to 105 to match her recorded best.
Lovely second attempt.
2 to 1, a good lift, and as we were talking about not seeing any infractions, our first elbow depth call there, if we have a look at that in the replay. And I think perhaps a little bit wonky, I'm not sure.
Yeah.
High.
Yeah, it might just be from being slightly uneven there.
180 kilos from Masaya Inoue from Japan.
Just very technical setup, as expected from a lifter from Japan. Oh. He did get quite a long hold and command on that.
Yeah, let's have a look at that again in the replay.
You can see his heels are kind of coming up a little bit there, so that's probably why he got such a long hold.
Yeah, and maybe just slightly off position, so he could be able to potentially fix that up. Bench is one of the only lifts that you could see somebody fail like that, and still they could probably come back.
Yeah, honestly, it looks like maybe when he was sliding in, his feet were just slightly off kilter and wasn't able to transfer force into the floor like he normally would.
185 kilos for Robert Raw from South Africa.
Just 5 below his personal best. And yeah, so again, you see that sort of tempo style bench. I would not be surprised if he actually does dabble in both, which, again, with that last name is quite ironic.
The bar is loaded.
This is Bertens representing Latvia, 192.5 kilos. 7.5 kilo jump here. And a little bit of trouble, somewhat similar to his second squat there.
Yeah, I didn't want to say anything there, but if I'm honest, that increase after the opener was not what I would have chosen. Sometimes you'll choose to go with plan A even when things don't feel great, but that's a dice roll in those moments.
Yeah, it's important to adapt to how you're feeling on the day and what you think you have in that moment. Not always exactly the plan on the paper.
Yeah. And we've got a 20 kilo jump here for the Chilean lifter, which again, not something that you see every day, but it just seems to be his style.
Yeah, and he seemed to do pretty well with it on his squat.
You better be careful there. It doesn't look like he's quite covering the ring with his right hand. There we go.
Adonis Meza for Chile, 205. And still
Wow.
so comfortable. And 3 white lights, a good lift, and just like his squat, I imagine seeing another pretty sizable jump there to his third. I'll be interested to see if they choose to do another 20 kilos like they did on squat.
I would not be surprised considering his PB is 225. But still, you have to wonder if it's going to be a bit harder on the coaching staff to actually accurately choose.
237.5 kilos, a 10 kilo jump for Ray Bowering.
Personal best of 10 for him.
I believe this actually matches his personal best. Wow.
Oh, wow.
And like I said, with a really comfortable press command because he has such a soft touch there.
Yeah, honestly, you blink and you miss that one.
And I could see another 10 kilos easily going on that.
Definitely. Again, easy plan A scenario right there.
Certainly making a statement from the C group, setting the bar for the A group later on. And as we head into the final round, a couple of misses there from Inoue and Bursins, but altogether a pretty successful second group. 87.5 kilos for Marta Malodo from Latvia, 2.5 kilo jump.
This will be a 2.5 kilo PB attempt. Comes up a bit uneven, but I think should be okay.
2 to 1, a good lift. I was wondering if I saw some hip movement there. She swats it away, hoping that the decision stays. Yeah, but
Yeah, you see daylight there.
the jury has instantly overruled that after seeing that replay to a no lift.
That stinks, but like I said, 1 red light could be 3.
And Sigurjóns Dóttir from Iceland, 97.5 kilos. Again, opting for this 2.5 kilo jump.
Just a bit too much today.
The bar is loaded.
And we've got Komodo coming out for her third 5-kilo increase.
There she is, Emi Komoto for Japan. 105 on the bar. And I've got to say, that is my favorite pre-lift routine of the entire championships.
I just love how her teammates from Japan are cheering her on every time she does that too. And you can actually see quite a bit of enthusiasm out of Team GB for it as well.
Great final attempt there for Komoto. And a good
3 white
lift.
lights.
And joy is contagious. You know, you just want to see lifters like that succeed.
The bar is loaded. 4 attempts to change over.
Honestly, just perfect attempt selection as well.
$105 kilos for Marcela Elizabeth de la Barra Zelaya. 2.5 kilo jump. Just too much in the day.
Yeah, unfortunately 2.5 kilos is just a slightly larger percentage of your bench as a female usually, so
yeah,
makes it a little harder.
It also means she got everything she could have out of that second. That was her top end in the day.
Yep. Nothing wrong with it.
Now the 2.5 kilo jump here. All the ladies opting for this option, bar Komoto, and Komoto the only to make the successful third attempt. Thorbjorg Mathiasdottir from Iceland, 107.5.
A personal best of 2.5 if she's successful.
Looks good from here.
And 3 white lights. Away from Japan now. Did have a little bit of draw on his second. Hopefully he'll be able to come back out and make this work.
Yeah, like we said, a really technical lifter. Hopefully something that he can fix up here on his third. Heels slightly up, so maybe his foot position a little further back than usual. Great catch from the spotters there, just not there today for Inoue. Robert Raw striding onto the platform to take 192.5 for his third attempt.
Again, this is the gentleman who seems to love a tempo bench.
Worked for him so far, 6 white lights across the board on bench press. This would be a 2.5 kilo personal best should he make it.
And that looks like it should be good. Yes, 3 white lights. He's quite happy with that. The contrast between him and his Mite coach is quite funny.
Yeah, we see that a lot as the weight classes go up. The coaches start to look ever so slightly smaller. 192.5 for Digis Bershins for Latvia. Didn't get this on his second. Looking to reattempt it here on his third. And just before the lockout, unfortunately. And with that style of bench, you know, it's heavily reliant on momentum. So when that runs out, it's really difficult to push through.
Yeah, especially if you get a little bit of a longer press command than what you're used to, say, at home in your own championships. It can be a little hard to adjust on the day. That's why, in general, longer pause bench is one of the best variations you can do in training. And honestly, maybe even some long holds beforehand. I think that's honestly what gets people at these championships is the holds are always longer. So if there's one thing you can do to prepare for internationals, hold your benches longer before you start your sets.
222.5 kilos for Sergio Hernan Madones Mesa. And opted for a 17.5 kilo jump this time. So slightly smaller, but it's still a huge jump. And the second was very speedy. And he could have done the 20 kilo jump, I've got to say it.
I honestly, I don't know how as a coach you make that choice. You know, when there's that much speed, where's the top limit to that? I just, I don't know. Honestly, great on the Chilean coaching staff for that.
Yeah, and you have to have full confidence in your lifter with jumps like that.
No kidding. Speaking of confidence in your lifter, I'm quite confident that Ray is about to absolutely blast this bench up.
Yeah, we would have been comfortable with a 10 kilo jump. Team GB looking for 245, a 7.5 kilo jump. And if you're trying to rival the A group from a B or a C group, you've got to sometimes play it a little safer to secure the total, secure those extra kilos instead of making unnecessary risk.
Okay, just a little bit slower. It's got to be the shoes, Ray. Very nice.
And we complete the C group and B group for the 120 plus and 84 plus. Ray Bowering charging ahead yet again with 245 as a bench. Madones Mesa just behind him as he was with the squat as well, but ever so slightly. And 84 plus ladies, Matthias Daughter leading the pack, but of course with the A group to come later, that is subject to change. B group 120 plus. Tadas Gekas from Lithuania, 165. Very comfortable opener, and he only took his squat opener and then X'd out his second and third attempt. So we'll see what happens here. He does get a yellow from the center referee. And we'll see if that's for that thrusting that we spoke about.
It looked okay to me.
Yeah, he didn't seem to skip any commands either, and Jury seemed happy enough with it. Abdeslam Lekau from Algeria, 400 kilos on his squats. Didn't manage to get that 420 on his second or his third, but still walked away with the third heaviest squat of this flight so far. 170 for his opening bench. And 2-1, a good lift. Yellow from the center referee again. We'll have a look at that in the replay. This time round, this fight getting a few more calls early on. Again, from my understanding the rules, that looks okay.
Yeah, definitely an okay lift to me. But then again, I'm not a Cat 1 or Cat 2 IPF referee.
Gio Hendricks, 185 kilos for Belgium.
Easily the coolest vintage singlet of the group. Oh, wow. absolutely lovely opener for him. 3 white lights.
3 white lights and good. 200 kilos on the bar from La Capital Baslenica of Spain.
Next up
followed
we have
by
Clemente from Spain, opening on 200.
The bar is
About
loaded.
15 below his personal best.
Mark Riodalbas Clemente, as you said, opening here on 200 kilos.
And we've definitely got some Team Spain fans in the house.
Strong looking opening attempt there for Riodalbas Clemente. 3 white lights.
200 kilos for E2 of Chinese Taipei, followed by Yushing and Wang. The bar is loaded.
Yichu Wu from Chinese Taipei, opening with 200 kilos even.
Lovely opener there.
3 white lights and good. 205 on
And he hits him with the front double bicep to show how good it was.
The bar is loaded.
Jacek Juszczyk, representing Poland, 205 kilos. Three white lights, a good lift, comfortable looking opening attempt. Yeah, and we've seen the Algerian lifter Leikau X out his second and third bench attempt here. So similar story to the squat, just a different lifter here, so the flight ever so slightly shorter. Bench press tends to be a little less taxing, however.
Yeah, I mean, sometimes lifters just don't feel great. Maybe there was an injury. There's a lot of different reasons for it, but in a larger flight, it's not the biggest deal in the world.
Pei Wang, Chinese Taipei, 210 kilos.
And no drama with the openers thus far. All generally pretty strong looking.
The bar is loaded.
Torben Voigt, representing Germany, 220 kilos. Voigt, a big bench presser. Personal best of 242.5.
Yeah, quite good.
Yeah, extremely comfortable. I imagine a pretty big jump.
Yeah, little shaky looking, but again, like we talked about on squats, shaking doesn't necessarily mean somebody's not feeling good. Just might be how their body reacts to having that much weight in their hands.
Yeah, the amount of times I've seen somebody shake like a leaf and then move the bar like it was absolutely empty. Our penultimate opening attempt for the French lifter with 225 kilos, Alexis Suarez walks out to the bar.
You can see him giving some instructions to the spotter that's doing handoffs. Generally speaking, you want to take that full minute to try to give that spotter some instructions, just so you get it exactly the way that you want it. Every lifter is going to be a little different with that.
Yeah, it's a fine balance to find between giving those instructions, giving yourself enough time to set up, with some extra if you need to re-rack. And Alexis did a great job of that and his opening attempt. On the board with 220, 225, I'm sorry. Our final opening attempt for Martin Simonsen, and as we said before, not unusual to see that come from a Scandinavian lifter, opening with 232.5.
So much like his squats, his bench is also a bit of a tempo as well. Seems to work well for him though. Honestly, in those moments as a coach, you really have to pay attention to the concentric even more so. Usually the eccentric portion as you're lowering the weight is a good indicator, but if you're tempoing it, can't really do much. It's always going to look a little bit slower.
Bowering still leads the pack there, not just in the bench press, of course, with the second, third round for the B group, but overall with those subtotals of 665. Gearcast from Lithuania, 175 for his second attempt. And that is a good lift, 3 white lights.
The bar is loaded.
Hendricks coming out for 197.5.
12.5 kilo jump, not unheard of, but still quite a large one.
Yeah, I'd say in this flight a pretty common jump from first to second, 12.5 kilos.
Oh, and manages it no problem. That ties his personal best. Say a comfortable 7.5 to 10 on the next.
The bar is loaded.
Mark Riodalabas Clemente for Spain, taking 12.5 kilo jump to 212.5. Just shy of his personal best here on his second.
And that looks quite strong as well. Handles a 12.5 kilo jump like nothing.
Interestingly enough, obviously we had Lekau X out his second and third attempt. Now Gekas with his third attempt. So a flight of 10 very quickly turned into a flight of 8 for that third round.
Yeah, and honestly, sometimes these competitions, even if there's a longer flight, it just beats you up and you don't feel comfortable taking the next one.
212.5 for Yi Chu Wu from Chinese Taipei.
Yeah, 12.5 kilo personal best right there. Should be good. Yeah. He's making a ton of progress today.
The bar is loaded.
215 kilos for Jacek Jucik from Poland, 10 kilo jump.
Yeah, no problem on the 10 kilo increase. Again, I'd probably say another maybe 5 to 7 there.
Yeah, I would definitely argue perhaps for the more conservative side of 5. Slightly harder to tell sometimes with these bigger lifters.
Yeah, that's the tricky part with taller lifters because their range of motion is longer. There's more places the lift could break down.
Yu Wang, Chinese Taipei, 222.5 kilos.
Wow, really good. One thing, if you look at his bench in particular, you really see him dig into the pad of the bench to get stable. See how much the pad's almost bunching up under him? That's always a good sign that you're going to be a lot more stable on the bench. A lot of lifters don't really take advantage of the material. They don't slide in as well. Really want to think about almost keeping contact with as much of the neck as you possibly can.
Torben Voigt for Germany, 235 kilos, a 15-kilo jump. And yeah, just like squat and deadlift, you'll see a lot of different setups and form techniques on bench press. Very comfortable for Voigt. Gets a yellow from the far side referee, so we'll have a look at that side angle in the replay. This is the side that he gets that yellow from.
The bar is loaded.
Usually indicating some sort of lift, but I think he'll be okay with that.
Yeah, he remained in contact, so that should be a good lift.
Representing France, Alexis Suarez taking a 10-kilo jump to 235 on his second attempt. Second to last attempt before we head through to the third round.
Looks like it should be good.
3 white lights, a good lift.
Obviously, besides a small bit of drama in the first flight of these men, the attempt selection has been quite on point so far.
Yeah, I was going to say, on top of that, really haven't seen too many infractions, which I think we were quite worried about with the sinking that we might see, but actually adjusted very well. 247.5 for Martin Simonsen from Denmark. 15-kilo jump here.
Yeah, the Danish team always is quite on point with their attempt selection, speaking of. And 3 white lights. And we'll be headed into the third round of bench 4, this B flight of 120 pluses.
Leading, of course, Simonsen with a 247.5. Bowering still holding on with that 245. And looks like he'll stay there heading into the third round for the B group. Still ahead on that subtotal. 205 for Giel Hendricks, representing Belgium. Mark Riodalbas Clemente, Spain, 220 kilos, 7.5-kilo jump from his second. Great fight there, but just as the momentum stops, cannot pick it back up again.
The bar is loaded.
move from Chinese Taipei. This would be a 7.5 kilo personal best, should he get it. Honestly, pretty comfortable. Maybe a couple kilos left over there.
Pretty white nice, a good lift. And yeah, very good attempt selection. Hitting personal best in squat and the bench so far.
That's exactly what you want to see.
Yeah, check Yushik, 222.5 kilos for the Polish lifter. It's been a very efficient lifter so far today.
Yeah, quite the squat technique on him, and honestly, equally good bench press technique. Oh.
Wow, bar stopped and he keeps it going. Was there a dip?
Yeah, just a bit. I also saw what looked like a little bit of butt movement as well, and I think the side judge caught that.
Yeah, we can see both angles here on the replay. And when the leg drive kicks in that hard, yeah.
Oh, wow.
And the jury's overruled it to a good lift. I'm happy to see.
Yeah, you don't see that every day, but hey, good for him.
230 kilos, a 7.5 kilo jump for Pei Yu Wang for Chinese Taipei. Also looking for a personal best here.
Wow, and a super fast one there. Yeah, easy 7.5 kilo personal best for him as well. Taipei absolutely showing out so far during this session.
And just 3 bench presses remaining in this B group of 120 pluses. Germany's Torben Voigt leads us out with 242.5. Match personal best. 7.5 kilo jump from his second.
Oh, just a bit too much on the day.
Yeah, and I think we spoke about perhaps a 5 kilo jump being a good decision there. 7.5, a little riskier, but if you're not in contention for overall positioning, then, you know, chasing your own goals. And even if you are from the B group, sometimes you have to take those risks.
Yeah. There's nothing wrong with wanting to accomplish your goals, and you know, sometimes even if it's a bit out of reach, nothing wrong with it.
Alexis Suarez, 242.5, entering the platform. 40 seconds left on the clock. 7.5 kilo jump.
Yeah, sometimes you have to get a little hype before entering the platform for that third attempt. That's why you get the full minute to do as you please. Just have to make sure that you set up quickly enough to still get the command with enough time. No, just a bit too much on the day as well. You kind of see he almost sort of shrugged as he started benching. I don't know. I'm not a huge fan of doing that once you have the weight out. I just find that tends to change your position a little bit too much, and it's hard to stay stable.
And our final bench, 257.5 kilos for Martin Simonsen from Denmark. 10 kilo further jump here. lovely third attempt, and you've got to think even more in the tank should he want it. Really
Oh,
white
easily.
lights.
What a bench press that was. All right, well, that should conclude all of our bench presses. We are going to go into a 10-minute break, and then when we get back, the bar is going to hit the floor, which means the meet is actually going to start.
Yeah, we can see here Simonson leading the pack with 257.5, followed by Baring and Suarez, subject to change. Some big subtotals being built up now, as Joe mentioned, heading into a short break before deadlift. See that. welcome back to the conclusion of the 84B and the 120 plus, sorry, 84 plus B and the 120 plus C and B groups. You can see here Ray Bowring already with a projected total of 1,005 kilos. Absolutely mammoth, and like we said, he's looking to get onto that podium later today, and with a projected total with his opening deadlift like that, he is in a strong position to do so.
Yeah, Ray just honestly has to execute and run his own race on these deadlifts. He really does have a chance at podiuming. He just needs to make sure that he goes 3 from 3, and then he'll have to wait, which is the unfortunate part about being in the C group. But under these circumstances, I think he's executing to the best of his ability.
And the bar is loaded for our first lifter. Just a reminder, this first flight is 5 84 plus lifters and 5 120 plus lifters. First out we have Marcela Elizabeth de la Barra Zelaya from Chile, 162.5.
Nice opener from Marcela.
Yeah, it secures her total. We had every single lifter in this session make a squat and a bench, so as long as they make a deadlift, they've secured themselves a total.
And deadlift can be a little bit more dramatic for the super heavyweight categories. Tends to be where we lose a little bit of leverage on deads.
Emi Komoto from Japan, 170 kilos.
And she is just by far everyone's favorite lifter in this session.
Yeah, like I said, joy is contagious, and everybody here couldn't help but catch it.
A little bit of a tougher opener, honestly, but a good lift nonetheless.
Yeah, I think just picked it up a little uneven off the ground there, which didn't help.
Yeah, we saw her rolling that bar into her, which is a bit more common. It's a good way to gain leverage when you don't necessarily have it.
Marta Moloda from Latvia, 177.5.
And a beautiful opener there. Honestly, maybe just a little bit fast. I think that surprised her and kind of got caught on her thigh just a bit. We do see a blue given for that. Let's see what the judges on the jury think. I do think they seem to be all right with it.
Torbjorg Matthias Dortier opening with 180 kilos.
We have a rare sumo puller here. Pretty solid opener there. A little bit more of a classic sumo deadlift there. Just a bit harder off the floor and then ease to lock out.
Our final opening attempt for the 84 plus ladies in the B group, Hannah Sigurdsdottir, 195 on the bar. The 84 plus category, of course, stacked, seeing the familiar head-to-head between Sunita Mulu and Brittany Schlater later on tonight.
Based on both of their trainings, it's going to be quite the rematch, as it usually is with those two.
And that is a good lift. Yeah, it seems like they've both had really good preps, which, you know, that's exactly what you want to see heading into such an impressive rivalry.
honestly, I think it's one of the best parts about these championships is just getting to see how well everybody improves and watching them finally come together to do battle.
Masaya Inoue from Japan, 250 kilos.
One thing you'll notice on a lot of these lifters is, despite the fact they might be conventional pullers, they do still tend to stand a little bit wider. Maybe a little bit of an influence from strongman there, but honestly, I find for a lot of the taller lifters that they almost need that wider stance in order to be as efficient as possible. If they get too close, it just doesn't seem to work well. They'll get caught on their thighs or maybe be a little bit forward off of the floor.
Sergio Hernan Madrones Mesa, representing Chile, looking to open at 265 kilos.
The bar is loaded.
I imagine we'll see some pretty big jumps here.
Yeah, surprisingly, he's only 5 kilos under his personal best deadlift here, but if he follows the same trends, I imagine this will be quite light. And as expected, quite easy.
Yeah, and really, you know, he was pretty well matched for Ray Bowering on squat and bench, but the gap is built really with Bowering's deadlift, and a difference in openers of almost 100 kilos there.
The bar is loaded.
And here comes Robert Raw. And surprise, surprise, his sock game is still just as strong on deadlifts. Hopefully just as strong as his opener will be. Perhaps a bit harder than expected at the top. He does get a blue.
Yeah, let's have a look at that in the replay. A blue could be for a couple things here, for assisting on the thighs or for some downwards movement. And you can see the knees bubble under the bar there, but I'm not sure it did help him. And jury happy enough with it. Didsis Bersins from Latvia, 290 kilos.
Ooh, that was definitely a lot harder than you would want an opener to be. Seems to be a little exhausted on the day, just based on how all his lifts have gone.
Yeah, it's a heavy opener, both in weight and, like you said, in difficulty. You see where they jump there into a second.
Yeah, and the GB coaching staff just ask for the bar to be cleaned.
Yeah, a lot of weight on the bar, even for an opening attempt here for Ray. And already with this opening attempt, it would get him over the 1,000 kilo mark. 1,005 on a total with 340 deadlift opener.
Yeah, just honestly, fresh out of the juniors, this is a crazy total to be on just your opener.
We've seen him deadlift 360 before. Missed 385.5.
Really easy opening attempt for Ray.
And that is a good lift, 3 white lights. Yeah, he is looking so on point today, and like we said, he doesn't have the advantage of seeing what that age group is going to do, but as strong as he is, he's giving himself a good enough chance of that podium.
Yeah, this is Ray's 36th meet, believe it or not, which is just wild to see.
At 24 years old.
Yeah, and that's a combination of both classic and equipped. Not unlike his father, the great Dean Bowering.
We head into the second round here. 172.5 for Komoto. Just a 2.5 kilo jump here, so perhaps feeling like she's at her top end. Opener was a little tricky.
Yeah, but you know what? Just go out and continue to have fun. never know when your last time on the platform is going to be, so you might as well enjoy it. It's a little tough there.
Little smiles as she jogs off the platform, but 2-1, a no lift for lockout.
Definitely tried to sell it, but just not quite there. She'll get another crack at that on the third.
Marcela Elizabeth de la Barra Zelaya, representing Chile. 12.5 kilo jump to 175 kilos. Steady looking second attempt for De La Barra Zelaya.
And honestly, almost equal bar speed as well. It's so interesting. You see such a diversity between lifters. There are some that just look like they're at their absolute top end, and then they have another 20, 30 kilos. And then there are others who look like they could go for days, and then you add 2.5 kilograms, and they're just done. That's why it's very important to know your lifters.
And that was 187.5 kilos comfortably for Marta Maloyo from Latvia.
Just a little sticky at the top there. I imagine they'll be maybe a little bit more conservative on their third attempt.
192.5 for Thorbjörg Mathiasdottir for Iceland.
Quite a bit more work than the opener, but honestly not bad. Again, I'd probably expect a little bit more conservative jump there, especially when you have that sort of classic sumo where it takes a bit of time to break the ground. You exude a lot of energy doing that. You want to make sure that the third attempt is conservative when that sort of thing happens.
205 kilos for Hanna Sigurjónsdóttir for Iceland, 10 kilo jump.
Bit more of a comfortable second compared to her teammate.
A 25 kilo jump for Masaya Inoue from Japan to 275.
Ooh. Yeah, just a little bit of a dip there at the top, unfortunately, that prevented him from locking out fully as well. See on the replay there, right as he passes his thighs, we just get a little tiny dip. Now Robert Raw coming up to the bar for 287.5.
12.5 kilo jump here. Definitely worked, but looks good there. Oh, unfortunately, 2-1, a no lift for lockout, and then a blue from the left side. Sergio, and then Madones Meza for Chile, 290 kilos.
And as expected, a big jump, but not quite as big as his squat and bench press.
Yeah, still moving well. But you're right, not quite as big a jump as he'd made before. 15 kilos, still pretty sizable.
Yeah, I mean, honestly, by comparison, it's smaller, but for a lot of people, 15 kilos, that's a lot of weight. Right now, if I remember correctly, this gentleman's opener was a little sticky. I don't know about this 15-kilo jump.
Didsit Bertins from Latvia, taking 305, like you said, a 15-kilo jump here. Oh, it's slow, but he keeps it going and just loses grip at the top there, and he nods to himself. I think he was, you know, pretty sure that was how it was going to end up based on that opening attempt. And 15 kilos, like you said, bigger than we would have anticipated.
Yeah, and that's the thing is even if you think you can move it, you also have to consider, can you actually complete the attempt to the standard that the judges are expecting to? And, you know, that's why you'll still see some people make attempt like in a way where you wouldn't expect them to take a more conservative jump, but it's what they can execute technically, not necessarily pure strength.
Ray Baring now, Great Britain, a 25-kilo jump, and more than we've seen him hit successfully raw, and we've seen him miss a little bit more than this at the British, but he is on point today. Let's see what 365 looks like for him for 1,030 kilo total.
Oh yeah. There you go, Ray.
3 white lights, a good lift, and a really tidy lifter across all 3 lifts, which, you know, sometimes in the heavier weight classes that can be lost a little bit, but Ray manages to keep it tidy across the 3.
Yeah, he has an 85% make rate on deads, and third attempt specifically 67%. So I imagine as long as the GB coaching staff and he decide on a good number, he's probably got a pretty good chance of making that third. Just needs to make sure it's tidy, just as he's been.
And Mikamoto looking to retake 172.5. And here for the last time, our favorite part.
And the entire crowd is just a fan of her.
Locks it out again. Was it good enough this time?
Not quite.
Not.
She's still happy with the day, thanks to the crowd.
Watching the replay here, the jury are looking as well. But yeah, I think unfortunately not quite locked out there, but I look forward to seeing her again.
Yeah, makes me wish I spoke Japanese so I could go tell her just how much joy she brought all of us.
190 kilos for Marcela Elizabeth de la Balazalaya from Chile. 15-kilo jump here.
And unlike the squat or the bench press, you must simply begin the lift before the timer completes, so you can take all the time that you need.
Kimberly Walford famously coming out with seconds to spare to pull.
Just typical GOAT activities from Kim.
To be personal best on total and deadlift for Marcella if successful. But just about where you expect the breakdown around the knees, it comes in.
Yeah, just a bit difficult today. When you're at the World Championships, though, you got to take big swings.
The bar is loaded.
Marta Malolo from Latvia, 195 kilos.
Excellent day at the office for her.
Thorbjorg Mathiasdottir from Iceland, 205 kilos, a 12.5 kilo jump to her final attempt for a personal best on deadlift and on total.
And again, Mathiasdottir is the rare sumo puller in this class. I'm expecting this to be quite hard off the floor, but as long as she gets it past. No, not quite today.
Yeah, pretty big jump there from second to third, equal to the jump she made from first to second.
Yeah, and very, very famously, despite the length of these flights, this is still quite a fast championships. Sometimes it takes it out of you.
Hannah Sigjónsdóttir from Iceland, 215 for a personal best on deadlift, a 10 kilo jump.
And this will be just slightly under her personal best total, but nothing wrong with individual PBs. And just a bit too much for Hannah today. Shrugs it off and says, oh well. And that will complete all the thirds for the 84+ B group.
We have the remainders of the 120+ C group for the flight of 10 120+ B group. Of course, Bowering putting up a hefty total so far, looking to extend that as much as he can. Messiah Unui looking to take 277.5 here after missing 275 in a second.
Worst ways to miss a deadlift.
Yeah, just loses balance at the top there, unfortunately.
I think maybe it surprised him a little bit. Looked like it popped up off the ground just a bit quicker than he was expecting.
The bar is loaded.
Robert Raw, representing South Africa, coming out to retake 287.5. I think I might have seen a dip there. Yeah.
Just a bit.
Walks away with the 275 opener and a secure total. Didzy Spursins from Latvia, 305. Also looking to retake his second attempt here after missing it. It must seem like strength. Can he muster up a little bit more on his third? It's a big ask. Lost it a grip on the second time. Can he hold on to it?
Manages to stand up with it. Let's see what the judges say. Yeah, no, not quite. Jury is deliberating as the coach goes to the table.
It looks a little bit better there.
Could go either way.
Jury are discussing it, but unfortunately not in agreement. Two jury members wanted to turn it over to a good lift, but one not quite happy enough with it. As we move through now to Sergio Hernan Madonez Mesa from Chile, 310, a 20-kilo jump here. Interesting.
Yeah, decided on a little bit of the uneven jump. This is a PB deadlift for him by 20 kilos. Oh, wow.
And perhaps Madonez Mesa is just one of those lifters that it's quick until it isn't, but it has just been quick.
Yeah. Okay, a little bit of an attempt change.
Yeah, it looks like Ray's dropped 2.5 kilos for his final pull. So instead of taking 375, looking to take 372.5, which would land him on a 1,037.5 kilo total. And now on nominations coming into this, that would have put him in second place behind Jesus Olivares, knocking down teammate AJ Sharma into the bronze, who was nominated with a 1,032.5 kilo total. So should he post this, I mean, even with the 1030, he is going to be hard to knock off the podium from the C group.
Yeah, this is a massive increase on his PB total from the British. Let's go, Ray. Your shoes say go beyond on him, so it's time.
372.5, a 7.5 kilo jump for Ray Baring to make a statement from the C group, and he's done so already. Can he finish the day off with a 1037.5 total? Look at him try to lock it out, and unfortunately not there. After a near perfect day, still walks away with 1030 as the total, and that should be enough to podium overall from the C group. And what a statement that is.
What a day. Pretty reasonable level of execution. Just that last deadlift a bit too much.
And that concludes the B and C group for the 84 plus and 120 plus, with the B group 120 plus still to go, powering with an outstanding total of 1,030 kilos, setting the bar high for the primetime group later. Martin Simonsen from Denmark, 275.
And I have a feeling regardless of Ray's placing, him being so young out of the juniors, this will not be his last time, and hopefully we'll actually see him in the A group next time to do battle with the rest of the gentlemen. Torben Voigt now with a 280 kilo opener, Germany.
Bar just being cleaned down there. It will be cleaned between every third attempt as part of the rules, but coaches and athletes can ask for it at any given time.
Yep, you can ask it for it to be brushed or wiped, as long as the Head referee agrees, which they say yes 99.9% of the time. Always worth the ask. Wow, and a speedy opener. Boy, plenty of kilos left in the tank today.
The bar is loaded.
Jacek from Poland, 290 kilos.
You'll see he has wrist wraps on. Oftentimes that is a sign of a grip issue. The wrist wraps, if wrapped tight enough, will make you clench your hand, making it harder for it to open up. Hopefully he doesn't get long holds at the top.
The bar is loaded.
Mark Udalbas Clemente from Spain, 300 kilos.
He's had an excellent day so far. Very high level of execution, as expected from Team Spain. He in particular seems like he's got quite a long way to go up with these deadlifts.
Yeah, and he does.
You'll often see a lot of lifters sort of do like a bit of a hip pump like that. I know that's one of the things that we do with Perk, and the trick with this is you're really trying to anchor your hips to just the right position so that you don't get too high or too low. Got to be careful though, if the weight's too light, the bar will pop off the ground, which as we know is a violation.
Representing France, Alexis Suarez, 300 kilos. Yeah, there's a fine line between pulling slack and a false attempt. Here's one of those wide stance conventionals you mentioned before, Joe.
Yeah, it looks as if he does that, just as I said, to kind of gain slightly better leverage. The one downside to that is because you have to grip a little bit wider, sometimes you get in a position where the bar just doesn't sit quite right in your hands, so you'll often see many of these lifters miss on grip. As I said, it's a little bit more common of a stance in strongman where they're able to use straps, and that's not really an issue. But here in powerlifting, we're just grabbing that barbell, so got to do our best to make sure we set everything up properly.
Now have Gil Hendricks from Belgium, 310 kilos.
Nice and quick, as you would want.
3 white lines of William. 320 on the bar for KU1 of Chinese Taipei for Ryan Club and Jesus.
Pei Yu Wang, Chinese Taipei. Opening at 30 kilos below his best here with 320 on the bar.
And as I said before, Taipei having an excellent, excellent day, making really good attempt selections. I expect that to continue here for both lifters. You know, if I'm honest as well, the Taipei singlet is very quickly becoming one of my favorites too.
Yeah, very nice. One of the newer country singlets.
And we can see he's an anime fan wearing those Naruto themed shoes. Nice quick opener.
The bar is loaded.
Leko from Algeria coming out now for 325 on his opener.
Yeah, X'd out his second and third bench attempt. I can't imagine the same would be the case with his deadlift. He came out for all 3 squats, but only walked away with his opening attempt.
And the rare sumo puller in this class as well. Oh, and a hook grip puller at that.
And it's very speedy opening attempt for Leko.
And looked a little weird on the lockout. Does get a red from the center judge.
Yeah, we'll have a look at that again in the replay. A bit more of a side angle here.
Actually just kind of looks like he got caught forward. So similarly to what I said when we were talking about squats, if you start deadlifts looking too far down in the ground, you can be caught forward in your center of mass, and when you transition past the knees in sumo especially, if you're too forward, it'll pull you forward on balance, and you have to sort of pull the bar back into yourself, and that can cause you to have a little bit of a lockout issue or maybe a dip.
Tadas Gekas from Lithuania, 330. Now he X'd out his squats. Yeah, so I'll be interested to see what he does here, opening second heaviest in this flight.
Perhaps he is just here to deadlift. He's Master 1, almost Master 2 age, honestly.
Yeah, I think he probably will come out for his remaining deadlifts.
Our final attempt at this flight coming up. Wu from Taipei, 340.
Already looking for a 40 kilo total personal best with his opener.
Yeah, wow. As we said on bench press, he's clearly made a lot of progress. Only 26 years of age, so makes sense. Again, a sumo puller. Oh, wow. Honestly, excellent sumo form for somebody so large.
Yeah, very comfortable and makes the lightest, the heaviest opening attempt look like one of the lightest.
Yeah, I would, if I wasn't paying attention, I would not know 340 kilos was on that bar.
And as we head into the second round, he instantly jumps into the second highest deadlift from the C group and the B group openers. Ray Bowring still holding on to the biggest with his second attempt at 365. So we head into the second round of deadlifts here. This time round, the first discipline we've seen from this particular flight where everybody is taking their second and third attempts, or second attempts at least. 300 for Torben Voigt from Germany.
Yeah, and you have to imagine in these moments, despite the fact that you may not necessarily place on total, you want to at least maximize to see if you can have a shot at the individual medals. We often have lifters from the B and C groups that have one particular lift that they're especially good at, might have a chance to medal despite the fact their total's not quite there yet.
Martin Simonsen from Denmark, 302.5 kilos.
He's having quite a good day. Squats and benches were all good. Bit more work than I think I would have expected, and yeah, just reds on that. Not quite locked out properly.
Yeah, gets called up for that lockout position. We'll see here in the replay. Gets a red from this side.
Yeah, it does look a touch soft.
Jacek Ishik, representing Poland, 305 kilos. 15 kilo jump from his opening attempt.
And that one was definitely good. Nice, comfortable increase there. We have a few more kilos in the tank.
325 kilos for Marc Riodalbas Clemente from Spain. 25 kilo jump here.
And a pretty comfy looking second from Clemente. Smiles at his fans in the crowd.
Alexis Suarez representing France. Looking to take 325 also for a second attempt, also a 25 kilo jump. This would already give him a total personal best of 2.5 kilos and 7.5 of his deadlift.
A bit hard, but still nice second attempt. Imagine there will be a couple kilos left in the tank, just so long as he can make that lockout look sold.
Kiel Hendricks representing Belgium, taking a 25 kilo jump to 335 in his second attempt. I think maybe a bit overambitious of a jump. He goes off holding his back, and I think with his technique as well, his knees cave in a little bit as he pulls, and I don't think it aids him when it gets a little tougher around that point.
Yeah, so what you really see going on there, because his hips are kind of far back from the midline of his body, his adductors are kicking in and they're sort of collapsing, and he just loses leverage on the bar, which is honestly rather unusual for a heavyweight man. But you know, when you take that wider stance, that is something that you risk if you can't create a proper position. Admittedly, I think he could make an adjustment just based on where his hip height is, but that can be kind of hard on the day, and it did look like his back had been a bit taxed. So we'll see where he goes for his third.
Peiyu Wang, Chinese Taipei, 345, a 25 kilo jump. Having a great day so far.
Just a little bit tougher. Does get a yellow from the center.
Yeah, I think for just skipping that down command, perhaps meeting it a little early, the center referee says to the jury. Hard, of course, to tell on a replay where we can't hear the command.
Yeah, the lift itself looks okay.
Unfortunately, the jury has overruled that to a no lift for Wang.
And I see the referee sort of signaling that he let go of the bar a bit early on the way down.
Yes, didn't bring the bar safely down to the ground. Tadas Gekas from Lithuania, 355, 25 kilo jump. As you said, 1 year away from the Masters 2 category.
And this will be a 5 kilo PB on his deadlift. So almost Master 2 and still being able to hit personal bests. Ooh, I don't know.
Yeah, it's a tough lockout position, yeah. Unfortunately not there today. Really valiant effort, but again, we're only on our seconds and seeing a lot of misses. That was our fourth miss of the second round of deadlifts.
Yeah, just
and 2 seconds remaining. I hope the ratio moves slightly more in the favor of success.
just a sea of red so far on these seconds. Hopefully it improves.
Big jump from Abduslam Lekau from Algeria from 325 to 360.
I'm going to be honest, I don't quite know about this one, but
It's a pretty ambitious jump. Perhaps looking to make up ground that he lost in the squat even. But yeah, it's a very big jump even for this weight class.
yeah, no.
Yeah, and I think perhaps even 10 kilos less was more sensible, but even that may have been top end.
Yeah, that's the thing. When you take those large of a swing, it just puts you in a position where you're just stuck, and that's why it's important to plan your attempts in a way where you're going to come out and have room in the tank after that second. And unfortunately, it's just sort of gone, especially with the speed of these flights. All right, our final second attempt from Taipei, 365.
25 kilo jump here. This would be a 25 kilo further personal best on his total. Land him at 970.
And just 5 under his PB deadlift as well. You have to expect, as long as this goes well, he should load up for personal best deadlift too. Yeah, quite good.
And on nominations, 970 would have been good enough for 5th overall.
Yeah, that's actually really, really impressive. He's clearly made a ton of progress in training, and hopefully we'll see him continue to make this level of progress, perhaps be able to make the A group next year.
Yeah, and if he even adds 15 kilos onto that, he would have been on nominations in 4th, nominated 3rd, 993.5. So looking to end on a pretty hefty total there as we head through to that 3rd and final round, with quite a few misses in that 2nd round. Interesting to see where that lands us in terms of 3rd attempts. Simonson looking to go up 2.5 kilos, got called for lockout on his 2nd.
The coach must be confident he can make the adjustment here. Let's see how it goes.
It's tough at that lockout position again, and
Yeah,
no.
just not quite.
Jacek Juszczyk representing Poland, 312.5, a 7.5 kilo jump for his final deadlift of the day.
The bar is loaded.
Yeah, just a bit too much on the day. Seems to be a recurring theme here, unfortunately, on deadlifts, Amelia.
Yeah, there's a really high failure rate in this flight. If we look at that score sheet, it's a sea of red. Let's hope the case is different here for Torben Voigt, who's 2 for 3 on deadlifts right now, 312.5 for his final attempt.
Oh. Locks it out just a bit early, and unfortunately the bar slips from his hand. Looks like he may have torn something based on what he's showing to his coach.
Gil Hendricks from Belgium, 335. Looking to retake that 2nd attempt here.
The bar is loaded. Come on, Gil.
And I suspect from what we saw before with him holding his back, we may not see him again today.
Yeah, instead letting the time run down. Like we said, in some instances it's the sportsmanlike thing to do, and I would say that is the case here, especially with how many misses we've seen in that second round, giving everybody a chance to kind of get back, have as much rest as possible, and see what they can do. Just a quick chat about the totals we've seen so far. Bowering with 10:30, and you've got to think that's enough for podium overall.
I have to imagine. I mean, don't get me wrong, I don't want to disparage the A group's talent, but I mean, Ray, even with that missed final deadlift, is just quite up there in terms of total, especially compared to his nomination. I mean, you have to think he's got enough for it. Just see what medal color it'll be.
Yeah, and I'll be interested to see where Wu ends up overall as well. If he gets his final pull, 977.5. On nominations, like I said, it was enough for top 5 or 6.
Yeah, which again is good. That's what happens when you have younger lifters just making a lot of progress.
335 kilos for Alexis Suarez of France. So landed with a 940 total. And 3 white lights, that is a good lift.
Finally, it made third. It's a bit of a sigh of relief.
Yeah, rarity. The first made third in this B flight, and only one of the entire 120 pluses, one of 2 of the whole 120 pluses today. Marc Vidal-Bas Clemente from Spain, 337.5. Currently one of the few who went 2 for 3 on deadlift. Can he be one of the very few that go 3 for 3?
Second look comfortable. Yes. Excellent attempt selection by Spain. You see the jury leans back. No reason to review that. I think a perfectly selected third attempt, honestly.
Tadas Gaikas from Lithuania on home soil here, looking to retake the 355. Just couldn't lock it out last time round. Coming out again for it.
Not quite there today.
That is unfortunately a warm live but solid effort. 355 on the marker, made new rank of Chinese Taipei, followed by Lekka and Wu. The bar is
Very solid effort though. Just 3 deadlifts remaining. Pei Yu Wang taking 355 after missing 345 on his second, but it was just for putting it down a little bit too early, or rather opening his hand a little too early towards the bottom.
Hopefully this isn't too much of an increase that he ends with only his opener.
If not, it will land him a 965.
All right, look to be under control. There we go. 3 whites.
Yeah, good job to come back and gain those extra kilos and carry the bar all the way down to the ground.
Now we have Lego from Nigeria coming up. I have to imagine that this is probably still going to be quite hard based on the second.
Yeah, looking to retake that 360, but like you said, it was such a big jump, and even if you feel like your top end is around this, the jumps really do make a difference on the day. manages to break the ground, but I just think it was a bit overzealous today.
Yeah. Now our final attempt here. Wu from Taipei. Honestly, a really great day for him so far. This will be a 2.5 kilo personal best on the deadlift, 7.5 on his total.
Yeah, and that's considering I think he hit a 40 kilo total PB around there on his opening attempt, so it's just been extended each time.
Yeah. Quite ahead of his nominated total. And again, this is what happens when you see great lifters coming together with great coaching.
The bar is loaded. Let's go.
I have to expect there's a chance he's in there for a deadlift medal, potentially, depending on how deadlifts shake up.
That's a great final pull from Wu, and we wait for the lights. 2 to 1, a good lift, and lands on 977.5.
Ladies and gentlemen, this wraps up the B and C groups for the 120 class. The B group for the 84 class.
And a quick look at the totals as they stand currently in the 120 plus category.
1,030 kilograms.
We have the deadlifts there, but of course subject to change as we have the A group. The totals, however, we have a big total that will certainly be not just contention for the A group podium, but perhaps even for a silver medal. I'll push the A group, they know what they have to hit now. Wu also the big 977.5, 965 from his teammate Wang. Some big totals there to rival that of the A group. Joe.
Yeah, Amelia, thank you so much for having me. I expect this A group session to be fantastic. The return of Jesus Olivares in the 120 pluses, and of course, the everlasting back and forth battle between Brittany Schlater and Sanita Mullah. Be sure to tune in, everybody. A special early birthday shout out to my niece, Charlotte. And for Amelia Potter, this is Joe Stanek signing off.